Today, we are going to introduce your topic about model health data and best practice. So, Thesla.
Hi, I'm Thesla Collier. I graduated in the University of Honduras. Currently, I am the manager for Gensler, LA, and I've been more than 18 years in the industry. Currently, I focus in team support for two of the studios in the LA office.
So, I'm Wanyu, and I'm a Master of Architecture degree from Washington University in St. Louis. And I'm also a design technologist at Gensler Los Angeles law office. My focus is on computational design with Dynamo, Grasshopper, and I also support for Beam. And I also do lots of digital research, like the low energy, like sustainable design for the project. So here is our topic, the model health check. So what is about the model health check? So we have a Dynamo script to review the data, and our intention is to maximum the value of Beam technology. And because we're doing model health check, so we can know some warnings earlier, so we will like discover emergency earlier. So imagine you will have 500 warning in your schematic design, but we will end this up very earlier. And we will increase team coordination, and we want to use this model health check data to direct best practice for the team. So why we should do this? So let me ask you some questions. Are your file size excessively large, and you need to, every time you go to your office, you get some coffee, and when you go back to your seat, it's still running, it's still open. Did you have this thing? Okay. Do you need to export a CAD file and share with teams? I think mostly everyone will do that. And did you find finding consistency in your drawing sets? Like some drawing has some graphic and other has a different graphics. And did you have an experience that your building elements missing in your model? So I have the experience that in my office, people always ask me, where is my wall? Which physics it's in? I don't know where it go. So that's the always question come from us. So we want to let the people solve the problem. So this is our previous workflow for the model health check. So we have a Revit file, and we have Dynamo script, and we exported the Dynamo script result to Excel. And we also decide a time to do the model health check, like at each phases of design, before the conceptual design, at the end of conceptual design, and at the schematic, DD, and construction document, and each design phases, we will do that. So here you can see a screenshot for a project. We have a Revit file open. And here is our Dynamo script for the model health check. So after you run this, it will show you an Excel file like this. All your building, like your model information will be shown in this Excel. And then we will have team collaboration, and everyone, yay, we will see what happens in the model. But actually, what are you talking about? And like every time when I want to bring the Excel to the team, they are like, I'm lost. So let's see why. So the Excel tab, we can see in here, we have lots of Excel tab, which is the different information in the model. So let me show you how the Excel look like.
Actually, we monitor 54 possible issues in our model. So we have 54 tabs in there.
In one file?
in one Excel file.
Yes.
So the first sheet on that Excel file, it just gives a summary, and in just the summary, our users are highly overwhelmed, highly overwhelmed. And then now Wanyu is going to show you how they see this data and why they're lost.
Yeah. So let's see this file you have cat import. It's 11 import already in here, but then you see the generic models, which people always model like that. So much of data in here, and groups, like model groups, lots of detailed groups, and identical instance, a lot of data in here. Increase family, which lots of trash in here, and the levels. Oh, this one looks better. I have the file which is level 1, level 1.1, level 1.2, which I'm really confused of what that means for each level, and like overrated dimension, schedules not on sheets, which will increase your file size. So our data in Excel is let people lost, very lost. So we should do the data visualization to let the team know what we are doing, how we can keep the file healthy. So we have a brainstorm for our design technology team in Gensler, LA, and we firstly, as not only as a BIM manager, as an architect, we draw some sketches about the graphic which we want it like. For example, the warning can be a page in here, so people can see the warning score, and like some bar chart can be show the import cat and the import family in the model, and also some some heat map that can show how your different categories of your model data works. So then Thesla will introduce you our current workflow, how we improve this process.
Hi. So Wanyu already explained what we were currently using. We implemented Dynamo, that's a great plus, but we were getting all our teams so confused. So less than a year ago, right? We came with the concept, okay, why can't we use some kind of data visualization to make it easier for our users to understand what we're trying to communicate with them, and actually get them to clean their models or be more efficient. So now in our current workflow, we have Revit. We still have our Dynamo script, which is kind of big like you saw. We still have that Excel file. We do color them, and even then we color red for bad, yellow for and green for good. It was a little bit confusing for them. So we introduced Power BI. And Power BI is just a tool for us. There are many, many visualization tools outside there. There's even a Google visualization tool out there, which sometimes is a little bit easier. So we just chose Power BI to introduce the analytics part and produce interactive visualizations for our teams. So now we have our Excel file. It was kind of color-coded. This one is not that bad. Most of the things are green in here, but we have still a couple of red ones. We grab all our Excel files, so now we are doing model health checks at different stages of the project. We do it more closely together, but at least we do it at major milestones. That's 30, 60%, 90% for the CVs. But I've been requested in some of the projects in the DD phase to be doing model health checks every week. And that's because when they're designing, things get a little bit out of hand, and people they have a really fast target, and they just need to get it done. So we all understand the concept of deadline, and people are not really paying attention of their files being clean or not. So with this system, we do our model health check, we extract the data, and then we put it in a centralized location. In our office, in our day office, we chose to put it in Teams because it's easy to be accessible. But these are all the Excel files. They can be actually in a centralized location in a local network or in an SQL. It's just where your data is going to go. So for us, we're putting it in Teams.
So also in the Teams, you can see we already format the Excel, not only the name, like the project number, the project name, which design basis we have, and the model health check, like what time is the model health check. If it's first one is model health check 01, if it's second one is 02. So, and also not only the name, in the Excel itself, we format each category of the data to let every file we export from Dynamo script to have the same format. So a different team can compare their project, and even in the same team, they can compare their model data in different phases.
Correct. And we did this because in Power BI, we need to have everything formatted a certain way to make a timeline out of this. So once we did all this formatting in our Excel file, we came up with this version of that Excel file. I think a lot of us can actually relate to this, and basically what we did here is we have a project number, we have the different iterations of the project number, and then we can select by each of the different phases of the project, and then get a heat map, which will, the biggest square basically show, it's kind of like the stocks, but reverse. The biggest square will show your biggest problem at this point in time. On the left side, we have a file size, and we have a benchmark of 250, and anything that is above that. Then we can do this for every single one of the 54 categories. For this presentation, we just pick the top 6. So we're just looking at CAD, design options, sets, and groups, model, and detail, and then warnings, because these are our biggest usual suspects. Sorry, I'm just going to play a video. So I just want to go quickly how easy it is when you're to just crawl into all this information and actually get graphics out of the models that we are actually investigating. So we can actually select the project number and then actually get an actual gauge of what is this, the current situation that we're talking about. So we're just going to filter a couple of the projects. This one in particular has 2 for the actual model health checks, and we can actually isolate each of them. So for this one, warnings was bigger. We started with 3,238, and then in the next project, you can actually compare projects and projects, or you can go isolate the project by phase or by the different iterations that we take this model metrics out of all our files. So this, we can actually use this tool, very powerful. I actually these are most of the projects in my studio, the ones that are actually here. We have a bi-weekly meeting for the whole studio, and this video is less than 5 minutes. I presented this, and then it's like, oh, do I really have 2,000 warnings in my project? Right after that, I didn't say a word. I said, I'm not going to blame any projects, just you're familiar with which is your project. Let's talk about this stuff. And actually, when they saw the numbers and compare one and the other files, they start to get it. And it was very visual, it was very straightforward, and there was actually no questions. Not like, what do I do? So now the question was like, how can I get it better? So I think it's a powerful tool, and just to present our job and actually so people can understand it. So the top 5 that we are actually monitoring is warnings, detail groups, model groups, CAD, imports and links, and options. But we monitor text, lines, or dimensions, like Wanyu showed you one of the slides before. There's a lot of information. With Power BI, we can just change the charts, and it's a couple of changes, and we can do the same types of visualizations and tackle 5 things, top 5, and then move to the next slide. And then, so that's the plan. Getting our projects healthier, more efficient, get the files under a control size, and actually creating functions. That's the most important part of this one.
Yeah, and the reason we choose this top 5 because in our office we do lots of like office building, core and shell, and also mixed use. People like have one core, they just group that thing and copy it to everywhere. And actually, someone like even they already changed the core, they didn't like make it as a new model group. They just keep it, and then everyone else say, oh, why my core has changed? They always like duplicate lots of things and didn't update. And like CAD, we have lots of project in master planning, and some like the consultants are in CAD, so we need to exchange the CAD background from us to them very frequently. So CAD is also one that we list these top 5. And options, because in our office we have a lot of construction documents, but there are lots of new projects going on. So we try to learn people working in Revit at the very beginning. So at the concept design, you need to show the clients like scheme 1, scheme 2, scheme 3, lots of options you need to show them. So, but the user in our office, they can produce lots of options, but they don't know how to manage that. And if they, for example, they want to show rating in this view, but they always conflicted why I cannot show this because it's in another option. So we want to list the option on the top 5 to let people pay attention to and to let them understanding how to manage these design options.
So we chose warnings. We all know that our warnings are, some of them are ignorable, some of them are more detrimental for the file. So we're trying to create conscience in our teams to actually address the warnings, and at least in my teams, what I've been enforcing is like, hey guys, let's just do 5 warnings a day. It won't take you more than 10 minutes, but your file is going to be eventually clean, and you have to do it in a daily or weekly. Just set a goal, and if you have 10 team members, this actually will reduce. Regarding groups, if the projects are in schematic design or DD, we do understand that groups are actually needed to quickly populate our models and quickly come out with a design and quickly make the changes. But with that, your file will increase in size, and you will actually be waiting and looking at that little wheel for 30, 40 minutes every time you save or you open and save or you exit the file. So creating conscience with our teams and making sure that once the group has served its purpose, they need to be ungroup and first. The same goes to, and that's for groups, detail groups and model groups. Also CAD is in a big issue in our office because we have a lot of small, big, medium-sized projects, and a lot of the small projects are actually bigger files, have bigger files than the airport projects that we have. So then that's kind of like funny in a sense, but it's not really funny because we use a small TI and like you have a 600 size file. And it just comes from the copy paste, and carrying over a bunch of stuff from previous projects because they might not know how to, like,
Purge.
how to produce it that fast. So they go and download a furniture family that has 3D CAD in it, or they actually model it in Rhino, export it in CAD, and stick it into a family. So we actually, we go through our files and the families within our files to find all those imported CAD and try to actually attack it from the source and find out where that family came from and modify it. And if they really need to use it, and they're using it in project and project, they need to fix the family. Then they will address the issue.
Yeah, and for the CAD, I don't know if any of you guys have this issue, because we have a lot of CAD exchange back and forth, and even before one day a deadline going to happen, and the people, they didn't clean the CAD first, they just link the CAD in. It looks, because we have shared coordinates, it looks the CAD in the right location, but all the like section, elevation, the line weight, and line type change. Even the view template, we didn't change that. And we figured out that problem is because the CAD has something far away from the origin. And so that's also we need to emphasize to people, even our team, when the project needs to link CAD in their like urgent deadline, we need to first to clean the CAD first, even that is necessary.
And a simple purge will go a long, long way. Understanding what kind of layers you have in there and if all the elements are in the right place. This is like basic CAD, but some people, they just copy the CAD, it looks right today, and then tomorrow they're paying the price of like kind of fix it. So that's why we're trying to create conscience on that. And then design options is another one that's big, big, big in our office because we have a bunch of designers that they keep changing their minds and over and over and over, and they see the Revit files as a container file for all the history. They do not understand that design options, they serve their purpose, and the design is being selected. Once the design is selected, I don't know why, but we're going to need 25 options in CA or CD. The final design, that's why we produce construction documents, and then why do we have it? Oh, I don't know, I don't want to delete anything that, if it's not pertinent to the project, it shouldn't be there, period. No antiques, no buts, period. So with that said, the goal here is to simplify your day, keep it clean, that's the message, and we're ready for questions.
Excellent. I love it. That's a fantastic presentation. I have a couple questions for you, though. First, are you still using the Dynamo script for the data collection on the analysis part of each file?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to that, are you having the users on the project team do the report, or is a DT person running that report? Second, if a DT person's running that report, how do you know between the 600 projects, 800 projects, 10,000 projects that happen to be running in your office at all different phases of their project when that period of time is due for a review? And the last one is, how do you maintain the Dynamo script, being that minor builds and Revit, needless to say, in Dynamo and all of the packages that you're utilizing, if you're utilizing any custom packages or packages that haven't been written in-house that accommodate for differences in Revit build, Revit minor versions, and Dynamo versions. So I'll think about all of those, but those are my questions.
Okay, let's start with the ones that I can remember. So first, the first intention was, okay, us, the design technology team, we run the model health checks. But even though I work in two tiny little studios, I got this project manager, we show them what the Dynamo script could do and say, oh, can I get them every week? I'm like, sure, can I get them for this project, for this project? So then I was running thin in time because the Dynamo script at that moment in time, I only been there for 10, 11 months.
Yep.
Took like 30 minutes to run, just to
Mhm.
pull all that information.
Yep.
So it adds up. I get a lot of tap on the shoulder during the course of the day, and getting all of this being scheduled every week, it was draining my time. So then I said, well, what if I show the guy that's next door to me, and he does his own project? So then I came out with like a Revit liaison. So
Mhm.
a person that it is in the project, and that would be like your big coordinator, or your
Project BIM lead.
project team leader, or someone that is interested in doing it. I said, do you want to learn this? I'm like, sure. I'm like, want to learn Dynamo? And the guy was like, no. Do you know how to press run? Yes. Okay, so come here, I'll show you. So then I dedicated like 3 or 5 people, so now they are running every week. So I just kind of like monitor and make sure that we all run it on Fridays for those projects. I can't remember all your questions.
The other ones, is your Dynamo, how are you maintaining it? So through the builds and all that.
So first, when I got into the office, the Dynamo script was already there. Jason Trahan, I think most of you know him. He was the one who created the one for our model health check. And actually, at that time, we were using Dynamo 1.3.0 or 3. So now with the new versions of Revit and the new Dynamo 2.0, we just upgraded to the 2.0, but with that one, we included a couple of notes that are Python scripts.
Yeah.
And actually, we reduced the time of the model health check from 30 minutes to, I think now it takes like 5 minutes, large projects. So that's a lot more efficient. Then I can get a Revit user or a project team leader or coordinator to actually just press run and start this, like I have a deadline. I can't do this for 30 minutes. So also the model health check is a combination right now with the Dynamo script, and there's some of the items in that list that we're running some proprietary tools.
Mm-hmm.
Like the CAD ones, that one is a manual thing, and the family sizes as well. And sometimes if those families have some constraints or parameters that are not working, actually you have to fix the family, because every time you export them or you take the metrics out of them, they give you a little pop-up and say, do you want to remove this constraint? And you have to say, okay. So that one takes a long time. So fixing that is like, okay, I export all the families, and when I get that pop-up, I go to the family, I fix it right there. And then next time I run it, it will be just like whatever it takes, 5 minutes.
So you're maintaining the Dynamo script.
Not me, Jason.
Jason, okay, so you have one person that's kind of dedicated at that task. But as far as deployment to project teams, actually empowering them to self-monitor and self-check, how does your long-term use, that's a lot of nodes.
Okay, so in this Dynamo script, you see a lot of colors over here, right? So in our color coding, the orange is input. So for this particular script, even though it's scary as it looks, it just requires one input.
Yeah.
It is tell me where that Excel file is. You put that, and then the user presses run,
Yeah.
and that's it.
But you've never had it break.
That one doesn't break.
Oh,
That
cool.
one, they have to have the right Dynamo, and they have to path. The other thing they need to do is just path their packages, path them to the right location. We have a centralized location where all the packages reside. So basically, we just tell them, this is the address, put it in there.
So you're maintaining the different packages on every single user's workstation.
No, we have it in a centralized location. We just actually just say, okay, look at this folder in the network.
But you're expecting the users to go and load all of those packages anytime that they want to use Dynamo? I mean, because you got new users, you got people that are exiting, departing, and then you have new flavors, so you have to maintain all of that.
So this is not presented to all the users. It's presented to the leads and the people that actually have shown some interest on even pressing run in Dynamo. Some people just see this spaghetti and they go like, I am not doing this. So some people are like, do you want to know? And like, do you want to take care of this? Do you want to make sure that your file is healthy and not crashing? Because when their files crash, they come to me and say, Thesla, like, why? And I go like, it's harakiri, you did it to yourself. Like, I was not in your file. I am going to help you. I'll recover your file. But out of these things, do at least 5. And then do the other 5, and then the other file. So you're not going to have a heavy file. You're not going to have that many cat bones. You're not going to have all those groups. You're not going to have all these things that it seems like you're preaching something out of this world. And if they do those things, the file won't crash the day of the deadline, the day that they're printing. Because I don't know what happens, but that's the day the file likes to
Yeah,
crash.
always.
Always.
Now, in all this data that you're collecting, your vehicle is Excel. Can I ask you why you're not choosing a vehicle that's a little bit more long-term robust, like a SQL or MySQL?
At that time, it was used as an Excel. We had considered using an SQL system. Firm-wide, I think we're developing some tools. This is what we have locally in our office. We just created out of need. We're using it out of need because we just need to know why are you. It's a way of being proactive. Like, okay, it doesn't matter if it's Excel or if it's a SQL. We collect the data, we stick it in there. Now we are visualizing, and now we can just go to the team straight out. Here are your problems. Can we just attack these
Are you
problems?
keeping those Excels in a central repository or in the project and actually maintaining all of the history?
Both locations.
Both.
So we have an audits folder in each project, so first it goes there, and then the same Excel file gets copied to a, we show here Teams, but that's in our OneDrive.
Yeah, before people are running this Dynamo script, they can copy. We have like a template for this Excel in our digital design folder, and then people copy that to their audits folder. Then after they run it, it will update.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so very much.
Thank you. Other questions?
So just for thought process wise, what do you guys do to kind of open a discussion forum for all the end users of the model in Revit to keep in mind of the stuff that you're checking so they can have an overall healthy model experience overall? You may have mentioned this on it already, but can you elaborate more about what you guys do with your firm?
So we present to the team, we filter the project that pertains. We tell them, okay, in this area right here in the map, the biggest problem is warnings. We have that many warnings. And then this is compared to all of the other ones. This is the file size. So the dotted line over there is 250. All our files below 250 if possible, hopefully. The CAD drawings up there, it's a gauge. You see it goes from 0 to 30, and that's about 10 CAD drawings where the black line is. So that will be anything under 10 will be acceptable. Even though we want 0, that we, like, you're not going to model everything. Sometimes you need a link CAD. We permit link CADs. We do not have tolerance for imported CAD. But imported CAD sometimes is like out of 10. The option says the same, like depending on the phase, these numbers will change. So from 0 to 10 options, from 0 to 3 options. Detail groups from 0 to 100, being 50 being like the middle point or under. And that is only permitted in DD phase, SD phase. Same with model groups. And then warnings, I think that black line over there is under 100. So, yeah. We put 900 over there. We don't want to see it in 900, but the acceptable is, we know that the one is collect. Sometimes it's like duplicate instances. We do have tools to actually just run a tool and say, delete the duplicate instances, delete the rooms. We have a lot of proprietary tools that actually the users can just go to the ribbon and press remove all sheets, not all views, not on sheets, and then they can filter. But even just pressing a button, they are resistant to do this. So with this, opens up the conversation. Right now I'm running in different teams. I'm running weekly meetings with them, and I tell them, okay, these are the top 5 things we're going to do. I come in with a PDF and tell them, okay, all your elements are going to be, all your tables are going to be in the proper category. All your elements are going to, basic stuff. Just put your stuff in the right workspace. Put your stuff in the, clean up that family. It's okay. If you're bringing it from a vendor, at least run it by me, or I can show you how to do a couple steps to make it at least acceptable to him. So these are the kinds of things that we are working on. It's a working process. Each project is different, and each team is different, and sometimes just getting to the people to do some of these extra steps is hard.
Okay. So this is like a good starting discussion.
Thank you.
Just set weekly meetings with your team, is that with each team or with your studio, with your office location? How big is the office location, by the way?
In Los Angeles office,
Oh, yeah, how many?
600.
So you're not running from, how do you run this? Well, first of all, how do you scale this, I guess? When you just said weekly meetings with the team, the project team.
Yes,
And then how
first,
do you run that by your studio, by your local office, by your corporation?
right now,
That's Rivers. The
Right.
Dynamo is probably available to everybody.
yeah, it's available.
And then how does it scale?
Yeah, basically right now we're running it in the LA office. Each of the studios, not all the studios have a B manager, a dedicated B manager, or have dedicated B manager, a design technology person. Right now our team is about 10 people, I think. Yeah, it's about 10 people. Some of them have 50-50 projects and supporting. So the idea is right now the ones that we're dedicated, we're running it for each of our studios, and we're putting in this centralized location. We are training team leaders or team coordinators or someone that is in the project every day, so then they can get a weekly metrics of their model, put it in the same place with the right naming convention, and then this visualization gets done automatically. So you just hit refresh, and it gives you the newest, all the newest projects, the newest Excel files that we save in that location. So it really, we're trying to scale it. To answer your question, we haven't got there, but the idea is that we're going to be doing it the whole office, every single project. Because every single project has to be profitable, every single project, we lose productivity every day. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and in my studio, I usually do something like this for the model health check. So personally, I will go with, meet with the project manager who will control all the projects in my current studio, and I will see each project, which phase is it, and what kind of platform. Like some of them are using Rhino. They haven't set up their Revit model, and some is already began design in Revit. So I will pick the project which gonna begin to using Revit and already in Revit, and pick the project team. Talk to the project team leader to see if the can organize a meeting to discuss this thing. And then during the meeting, we will setting up the time for this project. For example, one project, like what time we should do model health check for this one. Depends on the project span, the time span, and the complexity for the project. So that's what I did for my current student.
And typically, we have at least one or two for DD unless the PA actually asks for more. The same for SD, I'm sorry, for DD, we get one or two in DD phase unless the project is really large. And for CDs, we typically do a 30, 60, 90% model health check. And then when we go into CA, we're probably going to do one right before getting into CA, and then we move out.
How many projects do you handle for that? Like you said weekly meetings, how many project meetings of those is on?
On the large projects, I do participate in those weekly meetings. I think there's about 10 of those large projects. All the smaller projects, I train the people that are in those projects. I find people that are interested in certain parts of they might not want to be a big manager or anything like it, but at least if they want to learn how to set up a project, I show them how to set up a project. I'll study with them 3 or 4 times. Once I see I'm uncomfortable, then that's my person for these types of projects. So I'm kind of like spreading the seed that way. Any other questions?
What would you suggest if you don't have that?
Well, you can always, for your warnings, you can always just go to Revit warnings and get an export of that. That will give you an Excel version of your warnings. There are some tools out there that, like Vinlink, that you can actually crawl through your warnings, and people will address the, like their warnings. Like warnings is kind of hard because there's many warnings. Some of them are not that detrimental to your file. So as long as the team members are doing it in a consistent way once a week or twice a week, something in a schedule, that's a big one.
If you're not using Dynamo, it's probably, it's very manual.
It's very
You got to go through, and she'd listed a pretty good list of things that can represent hot topics or cause issues specifically on file performance, because what you're talking about at file performance, you're looking at the whole team, everyone's feeling that pain. So if it goes from 5 minutes open to 35 minutes, well, 35 minutes times 7, 8, 10 people that are working on this project, that's a lot of billable time. That's the team suffering, that the project is incurring those costs. So that list that she had, basically file size, warnings, all that stuff, all of those items are really important in the function of how that file operates. So to get all of those topics manually, it'll take you a little while. But if you're only taking care of that one project, it might not be a problem.
I wrote that manually, not eliminating, but running those manually on a sizable project where I have the feeling it's not performing as it should. Takes about an hour or two. If you want to run this manually, just find it in your browser,
How many unplaced views, how many align styles, or how many dimension styles, text styles.
Probably take you at least about 2
most
hours.
detrimental warnings. When you said warnings, some of them are benign, others are carcinogenic. Which are your 5 top detrimental warnings?
Anything that Revit is actually calculating, for example, in rooms, you have rooms that are not bounded, or that you have those separation lines that are not actually going that. And it seems like very simple. You can just isolate those separation lines and then trim them. It is a simple fix. It's not like brain damage, seriously. And they can just go in and fix those corners, and then the room will be calculated properly. And what happens is that Revit is constantly looking for data, constantly looking for data. Even though if we don't have a schedule, Revit is calculating this information, so anything that has to do with rent is kind of like one of the top things to do in there. And then when you have duplicate instances in the same place, and that comes from like copy pasting, like you have two walls or a piece of wall on top of the other one, yeah, it's not a big deal of it, but you go on those. The other ones are in stairs, and those are the hardest ones to fix. We do have model metrics. Model metrics is a proprietary tool that actually let us know in less than 5 minutes what are the top things. It's just, I think recently, before the Dynamo, now there's a button that you can export all this data into an Excel file. Previously we didn't have that, so that's why sometimes the tools are not created as fast as we need them. But yes, we do have a tool that is model metrics, and it will pull the information same as the Dynamo script and puts it in an Excel file ready to be, the Power BI or any visualization program to actually input those. But yes, we use the model metrics as well.
There is a free plugin called Model Checker. You can Google Model Checker. It's a free plugin that does some of the similar metrics and things like that. It doesn't use that.
And that's fine. That's fine. Any form that you can actually extract that information from your models to know what your model health is. Current model health check, it's actually the most important thing that you need to do, and then the next most important, how you communicate it to the team and make it to the team. Because getting the metrics doesn't do any good if the team members are not actually